You guys realize I don't have any shoes on? Ow. Alrighty, this is the first video we've ever done with the Good, Bad, and Ugly Real Estate Investment Show. So, this is episode 1. Disclaimer, we are not contractors, real estate professionals, agents, or attorneys. We have no legal anything. We're just investors. So, this isn't a show where you're going to watch it and let's say, hey, wow, these guys are experts. They know everything. No, this is the opposite. This is the show where you see what went right, what went wrong, and how not to or to do that. So we're going to explain different things, and then we're going to try to be as honest and as straight up as possible about it. So the first thing we are going to go over is our recommendation for a book. So this one's not going to be a book. It's going to be something we found recently, and it's on Discovery, Hulu Prime, stuff like that. But it's called Undercover Billionaire. It's a really cool show to watch if you're interested in getting ready to be in real estate, because it has to do with more than just real estate, but you can kind of see the general view on how you actually can move forward and do these things. And before you get a little judgmental, these billionaires go into these situations where they have $100, they have... What up?
Not 100% sure if people can see us or not.
Oh. Well, I'll just keep talking then. They have $100, they can't use their credit score, they can't use their name, they can't use any of their contacts, and they have a truck, and that's it. And then, are you on the page or are you on the group?
I'm watching it off our page. You got visual here.
But there's nothing here.
There's nothing on my phone.
You're going to have to give us a minute, it's our first live.
Here, let me see. You can keep talking.
So, anyways, so they go into these situations where they are supposed to make $1 million in 3 months. They do a pretty good job at hiding their identity, and nobody really ever finds out who
there
they
is
are.
a visual.
Oh, there is a visual.
Yes.
Are we massively delayed like that?
There is a delay, but there's always a delay with lives.
Oh, all right. So you won't hear this until I say this. Sorry. Anyway, so it's got... Oh, that is creepy. It's creepy to watch yourself speak as you're speaking. Anyway, I'm gonna try not to look at that. But do you guys have any questions at all mid-thing? She's gonna be monitoring the live feed, and go ahead and just ask. And then she'll bring them up if they pertain. If they're really stupid questions, she'll just ignore them. I'm kidding. She won't ignore them. Yeah, we may ignore them. Anyway, no, but don't feel weird. Just ask away. We'll try to cover all the bases. So the first thing we're going to go over is going to be the progress that we've had with real estate in the last week or so. So it's going to be an every week show. So this should be over the last week, but we've had a lot going on. So yes, we're going to cover that. It's actually quite difficult to get an evening to film this, just because there's so much going on all the time. The first thing that I think we wanted to cover was, how our house hunt is going. Because we finished property 423, and that one's up and going and looking like it's going to be rented here hopefully soon.
Should be rented, I think, by next week, but who knows.
Over the holidays, getting it rented was a little slow. Don't know why. But
that just happens sometimes.
Holidays. Sometimes it takes a month. Sometimes it takes a couple of weeks. But a lot of people are asking, like, when's it going to be ready? I don't know. Yes. But we are on the search for our new house. Yes. And so that property, what we do is we go out and we search for these properties and we find a good deal. Right now, we're still using the MLS quite a bit. We are trying to break into other means of finding properties. But finding the time for that is difficult, especially when you're running the real estate investment group, you're working on the properties, and you are trying to keep up with all the other aspects of this.
We just recently had a renter move out of one of our homes, so we had to go over and work on it, and that took some time out of our efforts as well.
Yeah, you guys probably saw there was a video that we posted just recently. There's a part 1 to it, and there'll be a part 2 to it coming out, which you guys want to watch, where we had to go back into the property because we really didn't do the renovation very well to begin with. There were some things we messed up on. There were some things that we didn't get to before we kind of ran out of time, before we had to get it on the market because we were running out of funds. And that's always kind of scary. So we had to get it out there, had to get it up. And I wouldn't want to say we cut some corners, but maybe we thought some things would be fine for a while.
We thought some things had resolved themselves, which is never the case.
No, it's never a good idea to just assume that.
So we did do a lot of work at that house to begin with, though. It was in no means unlivable or anything like that. It just, we thought that there was an issue, and then we lived there for a while, and it didn't seem to be an issue, so we said that issue must have disappeared.
So the issue she's talking about is a sewer issue that we had. So we had a few times while we were working on the property, we had the sewer back up, and we thought, well, shoot, what the heck? So we brought in a sewer machine, went in, they went through, and they said, hey, well, whoever was living here before had been flushing wipes down the toilet. I flushed a few myself. But, okay, cool. So he sucked them all out, moved on, right? And then we had to bring him back another month or so later to do it again. And we thought, well, little odd, maybe there's a sewer problem, but these are slab foundations, a lot of the houses in this area. So to get to those sewer lines underneath there is quite the effort.
You either have to tunnel in from the side or you have to cut through the middle of your house with a very large saw
Yes.
to access them.
So I'm not saying it's the right answer. And here's one of these things where, you know, somebody might sit here and tell you, hey, listen, do it right the first time. Don't cut corners. But the dealio is sometimes you're short up on time. Sometimes your money's running low. You know, maybe this is your first property. Like this one was our first flip. And sometimes you just got to get the property out there. And did we say, well, this could be a thing or it might not be a thing. We're just going to put it on the market? Yes. Did that, in the end, cause us more problems? Yes, it did. But did we get it on the market and did we actually not lose money on the deal? Yes.
I will say, when we were dealing, we did have a tenant in there for about a year. And every time that there was an issue with the home, we were very quick to make sure that it was at least handled so that they were able to use the parts of their home that was being affected by the issue.
Yes. It was a little bit disheartening and a little bit embarrassing to receive messages and phone calls from our property manager saying, hey, so the plumbing's backed up again. And we were like, oh, man. You don't want to treat tenants like that. We don't want to treat tenants like that. So moving forward, our best efforts are going to make sure these houses are in tip-top shape and ready to go 100%. But it is what it is, and you have what you have to work with at the time. Now, the property made good money, and it actually, continues to make good money, and we got the problems are fixed now, hopefully. But, yeah. So we ended up tiling over top of the flooring that we were having issues with a year ago. We fixed the plumbing, you'll see in that video.
Yes.
And we're out of there. I got to do some touch-ups tomorrow, and that's about it. Another difficult thing in the process is finding the time to do this work versus the work that you need to get done. Yes. And in general, you want to find yourself doing the work that provides you the most progress. So I know that going and working on a property physically with my hands is not what's going to get us the best progress and the best results. Sometimes, though, even though I try to do as little as possible, that's not avoidable, especially early on.
We were able to have your brother come down, though, and that really helped.
Oh, yeah. My brother Dewey came down. Awesome. I would have been out there for forever. He came down and we knocked it out in about a week. So that was awesome.
So, back to the house hunt.
Yes.
So, our potential...
Can I interrupt 1 second?
Sure.
I wanted to say one more thing. I'm kind of getting around to the idea that whenever you're estimating your time to do labor work like this, whether it's carpet, tile, in general, it's always 3 times longer than most people expect. I'm finding that out. I don't know if that's right with everybody else, but everybody's like, oh, this much time? Yeah. 2 times longer than that. That's what I'm finding out. So it's just the way it is.
So the house hunt update, our potential duplex, we are still waiting to find out about its possible foundation issues. I think that's getting checked out the
That's the 24th.
The 24th.
So we're able to put the contract on hold. So with these properties, right? You give an offer, they take the offer, and you have an inspection period when you're going through the MLS like we do. This inspection period gives you time to check out the home. If the renovations are going to be too high, if you find any significant damage that you aren't going to be able to cover, or that's just going to be too much, then you can renegotiate the contract at that point, or back out of the contract. So we went in, we found a foundation issue, and so now we are bringing in foundation experts, check out that foundation issue. We had our contract extended so that we could inspect it for a longer period of time, and so that one's on the waiting list until we figure more out about that.
So some people hear foundation issue and they think scary, and why are you guys even still looking at this house if there's a foundation issue? But this property in particular happens to be very large, so it has a huge upside, and any deal, if you get it for the right number, can be profitable. So we just have to make sure that we do enough investigation to see if the downsides are less than the potential upside.
Yes, and so it's important for us, especially since we have investors, that we go through, we find all the potential issues, and we make sure that they're knowledgeable in those areas on those issues. They are required to do their own background checks on the property and do their own inspections or anything like that if they want to invest. We just give the information we see, but at the same time, like, it's important that they know that they feel safe with their investment.
We try to get them as much information as we possibly can before we move forward with the house.
Yes. So our plan with that house is that if the foundation is repairable and that they have luck in that area, repairing foundations and having long-term like results with those, that we
at least 15 years.
Yeah. Ooh, I'd even say longer than that. Some of these foundation repairs, I saw one the other day, came with a lifetime warranty.
Really?
Yes. Lifetime warranty.
That's nice.
And that's AAA, who we have inspecting our properties.
Oh.
Yeah. Throw out AAA Guardian foundation inspections. Awesome. We've been having to inspect our foundations down here at Fort Sill, Lawton, and they'll come in, they'll check it out, and just for your business, they'll check it out and let you know what's going on with it for a really reasonable price. Free so far?
I can't remember.
Free so far.
They checked our last house a while back
Free
when we
so
were
far.
looking for a house, and I don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah, so I don't want to say you're going to give them a call and they're going to be like, yeah, we'll come out for free. But so far, they do it for free for potential future work and or relationship with people and investors like us.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, we have the other house that we've looked into, which is the farmhouse, is what we're calling it. And that one's in a little bit of a different location for us. It's a little farther out of town. But it's a really large property, and it's like half remodeled in some areas. So that's really a big bonus. It could potentially be a 5-bedroom home with a 5-car garage.
I think it was a 4-car garage. It's
4-car garage with an enclosure and hookups for a camper.
Yeah. So sewer, water, and electric for hookups for an RV.
Yeah.
So pretty nice house, 2 acres. Really looking like pretty good returns on that. The difficult part is it is going to be a higher down payment, but with our commercial real estate bank, they said they can work with us on almost any aspect to help us get into the property, which makes a little sense for us. So it's nice. Yeah.
That one, I think we're just we have a contract on that one, right?
Yeah. So you can get into multiple contracts with different properties. They will require a $1,000
earnest money
in order to sit you in a contract. And if you let the time elapse for that inspection period or to do all the due diligence checks that you want to do, then you could be...
you can potentially lose your earnest money.
The money for earnest money, if you don't really understand, which I didn't at first, it's money that you put down in a separate bank account that
no one touches it. It goes to a title company, typically.
Yeah. The title company holds on to it, and that way if anybody wastes the other people's time and pulls their house property off for too long and wastes their time...
They're compensated for the loss of time.
Yes. So, that's what it is. It's money to help people stay honest.
Now, so those are 2 of the homes that we're looking into, and we actually have a third right now, and it's really important when you're going for your next house at any stage to have multiple options because you never know which one's going to work out the best or make the most sense. So we do have one that we are going to view tomorrow morning. I don't really know much about that one.
So I've gone and kind of like checked out the property from the road and looked at it, and brand new metal roof. It is 1,100 square feet. But the dealio with this property is it's got a 2-car garage, which you can almost bet is about 365 square feet, that you can then convert and jump your square footage of the property up by about another, 365 square feet. So you're pushing 1,500 square feet now, which is actually going to be able to bump up your rents quite a bit.
Garage conversions in this area in particular, Lawton, Fort Sill, are very popular. There's not a lot of actual garages left. A lot of people lately have been asking me when I'm putting our properties out there if we have a garage in our properties, and most of them don't.
Yes.
So I've been even considering doing like a half garage conversion on some of these places if it makes sense. Going off we would have to look at the numbers.
It's kind of
I've been
difficult.
considering it just because I haven't even brought this up to him, but just because people keep asking for garages. Like a lot of people have asked about garages.
And that brings up a good question. So up until now, what we know of the market in this area is that square footage drive prices. They don't have a lot of larger homes, so any amount of square footage you can put into your property is going to be able to drive your price up for that property. At this point, even though we know people want garages, we don't know that people are willing to pay more for garages versus square footage yet. I haven't seen that be a factor. One of our properties with a garage is still at the same rental amount. I don't know if we could bump that up quite a bit to cover what we could get.
Well, that's not in this town either. That's in Geronimo.
Oh.
And in Geronimo, they have garages. In Lawton, they don't.
Good point.
Lawton really does not have a lot of garages, like, at all. Our property that we live in, that will eventually be a rental, it has a 2-car garage, and it still has a lot of space. So this property is going to be, I think, in pretty big demand.
And we're not converting this one's garages just because
it already has space.
It's already got 1,600 square feet, and at this point in time, it really doesn't make sense for this one.
Yeah.
For what reason, I'm not actually positive, because we could bump it from 1,600 to about 2,000 square foot house and jump up the rent. But we're planning on Airbnb-ing this one, and in that case, it's not going to mean as much to us. Plus, bonus side, we need a place to store all of our goods and all of our tools and all of our materials for renovating these properties. And if we don't want to have to pay for storage, we can actually just use the double garage here, lock it up nice and tight, and allow it to be Airbnb'd on top of that. That's what I
still don't know how we can do that, because in Oklahoma, laundry is always put in the garage.
Oh.
And our laundry hookups are in our garage.
Good point.
I've brought this up before, you've just forgotten.
I have forgotten. So we're working through that. These are our ambitions versus like the issues we're running into.
And there's really no spot inside of our home to put a washer and dryer, so I don't know if we'd even be able to relocate that. But it'd be something to look into later, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So these are ambitions. Oh shoot, there was something I was going to say. I can't remember what it was. I guess it didn't matter that much.
I think we kind of did the loan update. Do you want to touch on that a little more?
Yeah, so I was going to talk about the loans that we're working on right now. So we're stepping into the commercial loan area where they can work with us in multiple different ways. We went to private banks and talked to different lenders and found one that would work best with us. And found it kind of strange. Once you have so many properties with equity, there's actually more benefit to it than what I first realized. So at first we had wanted the benefit of the equity in the properties for market fluctuation. So we have a market crash or anything like that. It helps so that we can drop our rents low enough so we maintain our properties and still have income coming in. But
it wouldn't be a lot of income if we had to drop them considerably, but there would still be cash flow.
Yeah. Just to give you an estimate on that, we have a property that rents for $1,600 right now, and if we had to drop that property to $500 a month, it would still cash flow. So it's quite a bit of fluctuation.
We have a lot of room.
We have a lot of room, so it's not. Yeah, it's a significant amount of room. So But anyway, what was oh shoot, now you got me off track. You ruined my flow. No, that's okay. The lenders commercial. Oh, so
you have so much equity.
Yeah. So I walk into this bank when I have 50% equity in these properties, and I walk into this bank and I show them my portfolio. We flip through. I tell them all about the equity in the properties and that we could lower our rents by an average of 50% on each property. And he took about 2 seconds to flip through it, heard that I had that much equity, and boom. He's like, hey, we can work with you up to over $250,000 in real estate. Awesome. So there's huge benefits to having that equity sitting in there. Trust with banks. So,
Lending power versus investors.
Thank you. That's why I have her here. Keep me on track. So I wanted to go over something that I ran into just here recently. So I knew in general that there is more money to be made on your dollar using lending power from banks than personal investors. So what that means is if you invest your own money, let's say you buy a property for $100,000, and this property cash flows $1,000 a month, net month a month. If you were to take that same $100,000, split it up, and use it to pay for down payments on multiple properties using lending power from the bank, you would actually make more per month. Now, on that single property, you're going to make more, right? But the issue being is the bank. You can think of the bank as, in general, just a partner. So I'll come up here. I'll kind of give you guys. Help me, baby. Kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm saying. So I worked up a bunch of numbers on this same exact thing a couple days ago, just to see what the difference would be from using private investors to using the bank loan. So what they were offering was 80% of the loan on the properties, and then we'd have to put 20% down. And then they also offered us money to renovate the property. So they were going to loan us the money to renovate the property. And at first I said, well, hold on, bank, that's okay. I don't want to pull out too much money on these loans. I like having a lot of equity in our properties. And it makes sense. So, okay, cool. They said, no problem. We can just give you the loan for the property. So I was going to use private money investors as well as our money to renovate the properties. So I worked up the numbers. And what it ended up being was with us providing all the money for the property, so private investors, private money versus bank money, with them putting in their money to work up on the investment property, per year we were going to get back a percentage of return at at the high side 35%. Let's see here, high side. Okay, there we go. Low side, nope. Oh, that is right. So I worked it up on one of our properties that we're looking at. And on the low side, it looked like, or on the high side, it looked like we were going to get back. Scratch that out. 23.76%. 23.76%. And we'll just look at low side for this. And then with the lending power of the bank, on the low side, we were going to get back 39.68%. So 39.86.
Low side.
And then that's on the low side. So this isn't a guarantee, especially to any of our investors, but did I go on the high side on the other one? Vice versa, despacio?
But that's 23 and that's 39.
It's a huge difference.
No, but you're saying this is high and that's low.
Oh, I'm saying, one second. Yes. So this is the high side of our returns percentage-wise that we could get if the private investors put in all their money to cover costs.
How is 23 higher than 39?
The high side of private investors. So if we use, so if we used all 36,000 from the private investors, and at the highest percentage yearly return that I could see us getting is 23%.
Like us personally, or us?
All of our investors.
Okay, so how is this higher than 39? Because 39 is higher than 23.
Good question. And if she's asking this question, it's good because that means you're asking probably this question too. So that is.
I'm not good at numbers. Numbers is his thing. I don't understand them.
But that's perfect because that means you got you confused as well. So I'll try to explain it a little bit better. At our peak of hope, we could best hope for about 23.76 return on that property for each one of our investors per year, which is good for a
for each investor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And on the lowest side, which is probably where things got confused, because I could give us the high side of this too. I'll just do that. I'll give us the high side of our hopes. All right.
Man,
So,
that is...
Yeah, I think it's got a little life in it. All right, let me show you guys the high side of this then too. On the high side of the yearly return for, if we get the loan for the remodel from the bank, would be about 445.44%.
For the investors?
For each investor.
This is making less and less sense.
For all of us. Everybody gets the same percentage.
Okay.
For their dollar. Alright, so I'll explain it a little bit further, which I'm glad yours is making difficult sense.
I'm not going to understand anything.
I understand. So, let's say that we had 3 people investing money. I'm going to take C for this. So we have 3 people investing money in a property. The circle is the property. We have us, investor 1. We have one of our investors, investor 2. And we have the bank, investor 3. So we each put in, we'll just keep it to a very safe number. We each put in $1. Right? So everybody invested $1 into this property. This property is going to give us all a different return. So let's say that we all had equal money that we put in. The bank's return comes to them in interest. So they charge an interest on commercial loans somewhere in the range of 2%. They're quite cheap. The loans right now are a really good percentage. So at 2% interest rate on $1 is going to end up being, all right, these are now estimated numbers. 2% of $1 is now going to end up being 2 cents. Yeah, so 2 cents. So they are going to get a return of 2 cents a month. Cool. Okay, you would actually have to split it down because if you invested $1 to buy a house, you wouldn't get that 2 cents back right away. Anyway, that's not really what we're going over here though. So the bank is going to earn only 2% on their dollar, which means they're going to earn 2 cents a month. Now they own a quarter of this, which is 33%.
They don't own a quarter, they own a third.
Thank you. So they own 33%. This is their ownership in the property. I own 33%. Our investor owns 33%. Which means that we get to split the other 33%. Now, the property earns...
There's no other 33%.
No, not the other. We get to split the 66%.
Oh.
Yeah. So if we're 50... So they only earn $1. Or they only earn 2 cents. The property rents for, we'll just say, 40 cents a month. So if the property rents for 40 cents a month, and the bank only gets 2 cents out of that, that means that each investor gets the remaining 38 cents. Which means that each one gets, now I'm doing math. Math me, 38 cents divided by 2. That's 16, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 cents? Yeah. So, this investor gets, is that what it was, 19?
Your phone's not doing it right. Hold on.
Oh, okay. 38 divided by 2.
I know, but it was doing weird things. Yeah,
Okay, 19.
You're right.
So he gets 19 cents. I get 19 cents.
So we only get a bigger percentage back from the bank if we do it the bank way, because the bank takes such a small percentage back.
Exactly. Private investors are going to charge more for their money than a bank will. And of course, it depends on your private investor. If he's come, we split everything equally amongst our investors. But if a private investor comes in and he wants like 47% return, then it might be a different story. Or if a bank wanted,
I get it now,
15% return.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. So because the bank asks for so little, the more we involve the bank, the more we get for our dollar.
So the bank's still going to get their money back. It's just going to take the bank longer to get their money back because private investors want their money back sooner because they want their return.
Yes. Yep. Now, of course, that means that you invest less, so you get a smaller return, but it increases the power of your dollar. So it doesn't increase the amount you get back, potentially, but it increases the power of your dollar. So your dollar will earn more over the course of a year if you invest that same dollar in multiple properties with a higher rate of return because you're using more lending power. But, so, that was really good. I'm glad you asked so many questions because we probably had a really confused people. So that's that. And if you got to watch it a couple times, you can always rewind it. So in this situation, but we also still want to keep equity in the properties. So when we do these flips, we generally get about 40% more worth or after repaired value than original. So we'll buy them for $75,000. They'll be worth $130,000 when we get done. We double the value of the property, and we have a mortgage because of a down payment for like 30% of the value of that property. So we have quite a bit of an equity. And as we gain more properties, we gain more security with that equity. So we can actually now take a little bit more money from the banks and have a little bit more earning power on our dollar, which is awesome. But we still will keep equity in these properties to a certain degree. All right, we'll move on. That was quite a shing-shang. Alrighty, back on track. The properties.
No, now you're on 5.
Oh, we are on number 5. Yeah, so we've definitely gone over quite a bit of the update on how our real estate's going. We're looking into these properties. It's going well so far. We're working in commercial loans. That's going well so far, and we're hoping to have one of these properties locked down. I always tell everybody, I know we mentioned it before, look at 5 properties, and you'll be able to buy 1. 4 of them won't work out. And I'm not saying that's an absolute, but that's just kind of how it works out. You find 5, there's going to be 4 that have issues and or other people purchase them or whatever. And one
or
property
the bid just goes up too high because, especially in our market, it's pretty competitive right now. So if the bid gets up too high, like we said before, any property is the right deal if you get it for the right price. So if the bid goes past your number that makes sense, you can't raise above that number that makes sense because then you're not going to be making money. No, you don't want to drop your values to get the property that's not going to be right for you anyways. And we found out along the way too, never hurts to ask for the price you want because sometimes you get a yes. If you get a no, you can always raise your price at that point. But you never want to start at your top. It doesn't make sense. The more properties you ask on, the more likely you are to get your price on those properties. Alrighty, so we're going to go into a segment that we have that we want to get. It's going to get much better. And I actually know that I promised you guys the contest by our next video, and it is the next video, and there is no contest yet. We're working on it.
We're working on it. So with this contest, we have to have people sign waivers stating that they
want to do everything legal.
Oh, yeah. doing it by the book, doing it legal, doing the paperwork behind everything is super important.
No matter how small you think something is, you should probably still have a piece of paper stating exactly what everything should be.
Absolutely. And, shop around for a good law office, and they'll work with you. And they'll look over your paperwork and make sure that it's all correct and isn't going to get you in any trouble. So what we're waiting on is currently we're waiting on signed permission slips pretty much from people that are investing with us to use their first names, their income, like their yearly income, like for their W-2 jobs, and then also how much they make within the course of this year on real estate. So, and that actually goes into my next little portion that I already had kind of written up here. It's not comfortable, I'm moving again. All right, so it's pretty much going to be like this. We're hoping to get, we have the equipment.
Turn it that way.
It's a pretty little chair. We have the equipment, but we just haven't put it up yet. We're hoping to get a TV in here where we can just run what's on our computers up on the TV so you can see it a little bit clearer, hopefully. Because I have horrible handwriting.
We do have a TV.
We have.
That we can use.
Yes, we do. A few TVs.
You just have to figure out a way to put it somewhere.
I actually have a TV now, too. Nope, I scrapped it. Never mind.
Yeah, you scrapped it.
All right, so we're going to have our numbers up here. We're not part of the contest, but we're going to have our numbers up here because it's only fair that you guys know how we're doing with real estate. We're going to have first names of the other participants. If you don't participate in the, sharing your information, then you don't have the chance of winning the $1,000 pot at the end of the year. It's not a pot. It comes from the real estate company. It's not actually potted together from the investors. Yeah. Basically us at this point. But that's okay. That's fine. This is fun. We're excited about this. So we're going to have first names. We're going to have what they earn every year so that you can see how much money these guys are bringing in. And that is purely to show you that it has nothing to do with the amount of money you bring in. It does.
Yeah, it does to an
It
extent.
does. But it also has to do with what you do with your time and how much you study and how much you put into it.
We're even going to add our daughter, obviously, that would be a little bit bad to have her in the contest. So she's not going to be in the actual contest, but we might be sharing her numbers with you as well. She's actually pretty heavily involved. Well, she works a lot on these properties.
She does. And she earns investment power from that effort she puts in.
So we're going to make a side deal with her, just out of our own thing.
Yeah.
To encourage her to do good at her investing.
So if she meets a certain mark compared to the other investors, we'll probably give her a prize at the end of the year too. And we'll share with you what that is, and we'll share her numbers as well, which is kind of exciting because I'm sure she'll be excited about that as well.
She's probably just going to want candy.
We're going to pay her off in candy. Yes, we're going to go broke owing her candy. So it's going to be what they earn every year, what they have invested out of those earnings or out of their time.
Right, because we do have sweat equity investors.
There's a few different ways you can find us properties. You can work out the deal with the property owners to get us the deal that would work best for us. If you work out the deal and find the property, you're going to earn more return power from your investment in your time. And then we have money. You can invest money. This isn't a promo. People that invest with us can invest money.
This is the way that the people who are involved in our contest earn.
Yes. People that are investors, they can earn it by just putting in money, or they can do sweat equity on the properties and earn money that way. So what they invested, the return's going to be based on the dollar value that you gained over the course of a year in your account. So whether that is what the property's valuation is and how much value you own in that property, your equity, and your cash flow that has built up over that course of that year. So also that's involved in this, and we don't flip a lot of properties. We flip a property about every 3 months right now. We're hoping to ramp that up here pretty soon. But also involved in that is which properties you choose to put your money into, and then how much money to put into those properties, because that's going to have to do with this here pretty soon anyways.
Yes, some of our houses are definitely better on returns than others, and that's just how it is with pretty much all real estate. You can never guarantee that you're going to get the same numbers out of each property.
Yeah, and check out the legal ramifications if you guarantee any kind of numbers on a property. No, we guarantee nothing.
Nope.
You're taking a chance. We try to mitigate that risk as much as possible, but
we do have really big margins, so that does help a lot.
Does help a lot. And then it'll be based on the dollar value of the return, and whoever gets the highest dollar value wins $1,000. So that'll be nice. And that will end at the end of 2022. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to mention, Miss
I
Lise?
think it's just the last thing.
Oh. Oh. I forgot. There's more to this. Okay. I neglected to look at our little follow the board.
There's a guide off screen.
Yes. So what we were going to do is we were going to go through something that we've dealt with. Sorry, it's like a class. We're doing like a class, but it's going to be all based off our personal experience and how it's worked out for us. So we decided this time we have a lot of people that they hit a point in their lives where they're just like, I am done. I am done working for the man. I'm so tired all the time. I work too much. I'm paying all the bills, and it's just sickening. It's gross, and I'm so worn out. And usually, whether it's the male or the female, it ends up working out that one of them is good with their lives. Like, I'm kind of happy with our situation. I like what we're doing. It's just fine. I don't see what your problem is. Everybody else is in the same boat too. We work, we come home, we pay bills, and we sleep, and that's fine. So the issue comes up when the other person's struggling and the other partner in the relationship isn't struggling, and they don't really want to improve their situation, or they don't really care to improve it much at all.
They feel like sailing afloat is just fine, whereas you could be just doing better.
So back when I was in the 82nd Airborne Division, I never really saw my family a lot. Working all the time, not making, the Army, the military doesn't pay a lot. Great benefits. There are some amazing reasons to be in the military, but base pay is not really one of them.
No. And family life is not the best depending on where you're at.
Yeah. A lot of times, like if it was where I was, you just never saw your family. So I hit a point where I was like, no. Like I was never going to be the guy that was never with his family. I saw my daughter, when she turned 6 years old, I realized I had only seen her for 3 of those 6 years. And that stunk. So I started pushing.
Most of that was getting into the military, though. That wasn't just...
Oh, yeah. There was courses that I had to go take. There was month-long training exercises. There was deployment. Like, it was multiple things that added in together. But in general, it was about 3 years out of 6.
Yeah.
So when I decided to get into investing, not just real estate, but investing, it was really difficult for me to get her to understand that it was important that she learn about it too.
I don't like learning about things very much. I've learned a lot now because this is now our business and you have to know what you're doing. But I was very against any kind of budget, investment, anything. I did not like it.
So one thing that's an amazing way to get started is to kind of put your pride aside a little bit, write up your budget on a blackboard or a whiteboard, put it right in the most visible spot in your house so it's a constant reminder to do the right thing and to work with your spouse on your income and your finances and your expenses.
The biggest thing is that it really takes both of you. One of you could write it up, sure, that's fine. Like if you have a partner that's particularly against it, one of you can write it up, but you have to eventually talk about it. You can't have one person following and one person doing nothing and refusing to even look at it. That's not going to work. You have to find a way to get them on board. And it might just be writing it up and putting it in your house and letting them look at it for like months before they finally say, what is that thing that you put up there?
Right, or the cork board with the money on the board. Hated that idea too at first, and it worked out very well. I was going to say too, before anybody mentions, like, well, I don't think that's an issue with most people. I taught a lot of people in the military about investing in real estate over the last couple of years, and then I've known a lot of people that I've talked to about it. And in general, man, that is like always an issue, it seems.
We've heard that issue just about every single time we talk to anybody about budgeting, is that one of the partners is not about it at all. No. And just does not want to do it.
Nope, doesn't want to do it. Hey, that's your thing and that's fine, but I like the way I am. And then their other partner is contemplating suicide and just waking up every day not wanting to go on. But that's not far fetched.
No.
Which is really crazy to me. Really crazy to me. Oh, and so this is amazing thing. This is the amazing thing, which I don't get. There's a huge stipulation on money and wealth, and pretty much saying the more money you have, the more money you get into, and the more wealth you have, the more miserable, miserly, and evil you are. It's a general stipulation. Like, oh, they have lots of money. They probably did nefarious things to get it, or they're stingy. And they'll probably be divorced soon because money means problems, and problems mean divorce. Which is absolutely the opposite that we have had in our relationship. We used to fight all the time about money, spending, and let me tell you, she's always been a great person to be married to who didn't spend a lot of money, who really worked with me a lot on how much we had coming in and what we could do with it. But it still was a point of argument and frustration and fighting. And if we brought up money, it was still, a lot of times it was a fight. What are we going to do? Well, I'm not willing to do that. Oh, well, what are we going to do about it? Well, I don't know. I don't know where the money went. This bill popped up out of nowhere. Well, where'd it come from? Well, I forgot it. Well, I forgot it.
That's the biggest thing, is until you know what you have going out, you don't know how much you have to spend. People think that a budget means restriction and like not having enough to do things that you want to do. But a budget is really, honestly, completely the opposite. Once you know what you're spending your money on, first of all, you can cut down. Because you might not even know that you have like 3 subscriptions, for example, to like random things on the internet or whatever apps. And they've been charging you for the past 6 months and you haven't even touched them.
Yeah.
So writing down everything that you spend money on is really important. And it has to be everything. It can't be, well, I'm not going to write down Netflix. Because Netflix is $7.
And it's like a necessity. You got to be able to watch something.
Right. So you can't not write down Netflix. Like, you have to write it down. You also, now when I say write down everything that you spend money on, I don't mean your $5 coffee drink.
Oh, yeah, no.
That's different. We categorize our money, like our spending money is called miscellaneous.
Yes.
And that's where the money comes from for like little things here and there.
And so the miscellaneous money is money that we would put up on our cork board. So everything is drawn out of our account or gets paid out to the bills and the different things that we owe money on. And then our miscellaneous money comes into our household in cash. We pull it out of the bank.
Yep.
We put it up on the board, a weekly spending amount. And then,
well, we actually do 5 days at a time because we usually get paid for 2 weeks.
Oh, that's true.
So we split it up into 3 different sections. So we have our first section of money, second, and third.
Yes.
And we've split it up into the way that makes sense for us. We have a little bit less on our first week, a little bit more on the second week, and then the third week, there's kind of a bunch.
Yep.
But, putting the money on the board doesn't mean, say we spent all of our first week, and in the second week, we realized that the dog food ran out. We're not going to not buy our dog's dog food for 3 days because because the money on the top row ran out. You take the money from the second row and you go get your dog's dog food. It's just a goal to try to stick to what you have laid out for yourself.
And I'm not sure. I know many people, and probably most people, they get their paycheck, and by the end of the paycheck, they're sitting there squeezing their pennies because they're like, oh, God, I hope I'm not going to have to use my credit card for the 7th time. And so we found it made us much happier, gave us much more freedom and room to breathe if we split it up with smaller amounts in the first week, medium amount in the second week, and large amount in the third week, because we then, we get a little thrifty in the first week. When we first got paid, when you have the money, be a little less thrifty in the second week, and then, in the third week, we go out to eat a few more times, and we spend a little bit more money, and we get to enjoy that money. And so at the end of the week, when it's ready for the next paycheck, you actually you're not in this position where you're like, oh, no. No, you're like, hey, good job, the next paycheck's coming along, and we still got money in the bank. And it's a great feeling.
If we ever save money off of our board, like say there's an excess of $50 at the end of a paycheck, sometimes we'll put that money away, or sometimes we'll roll it into the next month, depending on what we're doing.
Yeah, because if you did a good job saving a little bit of money out of that paycheck, it should go into the next paycheck. You know, no reason to stifle yourself and put it into savings when throw it in the next week. Enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah, like we are currently expecting our third child, so if we have any money left over in the next few months, I'm trying to put it away for like a car seat and things like that. That way we're not paying one big amount out of one paycheck.
And I'm trying to buy a new gun. No, I'm just kidding. I'm also into the baby things. But yeah, no, honestly, like I can say 100% that our relationship has gotten much better and our life has gotten much better since we've just started. I wouldn't even say budgeting as much as enjoying talking and enjoying ensuring our money is going to the right places to do the best for us. It's kind of a fun thing we do now. We just kind of like, oh yeah, this. Oh, can we save money with that? Yeah. Oh, this is great. Oh, that's fantastic. It's enjoyable. We enjoy it.
People need to stop getting mad at each other about money and just talk about it instead of having any sort of anger attached to it, which is really hard to do. But I don't know. There's no anger attached to our money anymore.
No. We find a lot with people we talk to that like so and so spent $100 and the spouse is like, oh, I can't believe they spent that. Well, if they get to spend $100, I should be able to spend $120. So they spend $120, and then they're like, I can't believe you spent that. What I got was a necessity. And they were like, no, it wasn't. Yes, it was. So they spent $200 because serves you right for spending the money you spent. And it's just a really horrible trap.
Doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
I will say I was like that in the beginning before we really had a budget and stuff, but my spending was really small.
Yeah. We made no money.
No money.
$300 a week?
It was little.
Was our money? Was our income in the military? Little. Yeah.
And I would, I think I'd buy, my kid a Lunchable, and then I'd buy myself, a small thing of sushi at the commissary that was, $8.
That was her revenge.
So that was my revenge. $1 Lunchable for my kid, because she loved Lunchables at the time. She was, 2.
I told you my wife's always been good with not blowing all of our money.
And then I'd buy, the $8 pack of sushi at the commissary, and that was my revenge.
Yep. But it's gotten much better. Another thing that we find, too, is that we know a few people... and they get into it. They want to read the books and the podcast, but the wife doesn't really want to have anything to do with it. Yeah. The good ways to get around that is bargain with your partner, make a deal with them, and not only just make a deal with them, but be the forward runner in it. Instead of saying, "Well, you need to budget, you need to set up the budget with me, and you need to do this," say, "Hey, you know what? I know I work all day and come home and I'm tired, but throughout that time period, I'm gonna find the time to budget our money, and I'm gonna find the time to do the right thing with it." And I'm going to find the time to ensure you have what you need and that we divvy out money correctly. And if they don't like that you're doing the best you can for their family and that you're trying the best you can for them and everybody, well, that's probably not going to happen. More likely what you're going to see is they're going to see that you're working so hard and they're going to sit back and say, wow, he's not spending money and making me mad, so I spend money because he yelled at me for spending money when he spent money. No, they're going to sit back and they're going to say, my husband's working really hard to do this right. Or my wife. I need to buckle down and try a little harder. Because so be the forward runner, be the beacon in the relationship. And hopefully they follow along. If not, divorce them. They're probably not worth it.
We're not marriage counselors.
No. We're all about maybe not divorce. There's reasons for divorce. But we're all about shaming your partner into being better. Definitely. Maybe starving them.
No.
A switch smaller than the pinky. Still perfectly fine. No. Absolutely. Kidding. I'm just joking. But anyway, that was our little class at the end of the show. Is there anything else you want to throw in there?
A visual budget is the best way to start.
Yeah.
You definitely need, a visual budget. We use a giant whiteboard for a long time and put it up in our house, and that's really good.
Now we use an Excel.
You can budget anything into your budget. Whatever you deem as something that earns its own slot can have its own slot. You let's say he doesn't, but let's say he used beard gel. And he decided that
Thank you
deserved...
for ensuring they know that I do not. This is purely done on its own. It's a beautiful thing. I have the most amazing face and beard and hair.
Let's say
it's a wonder to wake up to every morning.
he used beard gel, and he deemed that needed its own spot on the budget, and that it was budgeted into the money. That's fine. Like, you can budget anything into it. You can make as many slots on your budget as you need to make you feel like it's set up right. Because we don't budget a lot of things into our stuff any more than we used to, and we just put it all into miscellaneous. Like, dog food comes out of our miscellaneous. And paper plates, because who wants to do dishes? They come out of our miscellaneous. And plastic silverware comes out of miscellaneous. Like, that's all stuff that comes out of there. Also, miscellaneous for us is, like, shampoos and soaps and stuff like that. So, miscellaneous can be anything that you want it to be. And anything that you deem necessary can have its own bracket. Mm-hmm. You don't have to follow anybody else's setup for a budget. Yeah, and work through it. So, everything in life... we re-budget all the time. All the time. Our budget gets always updating it a lot. And we've been doing this for years. Yes. It's still getting tweaked. Yes. Yep. And everything's about micro changes. So you can try to jump in with both feet 1,000%. And sometimes if you work really hard at it, you can do that. I find that I can do that nowadays. Yeah. I can jump in and just dig and change who I am. But it's not easy at first. And so a lot of things are about micro changes. You start doing the budget. You find that it's kind of difficult. You finally get into a little bit of a flow of it, but then you micro change. And stick to the budget as much as you can, but don't punish yourself for not being able to, especially when you start out. It's hard. It's not easy. We still struggle sometimes. We do. Yes. If you can't, don't cut yourself back so hard, especially if you have a partner that doesn't want a budget. Yeah. Do not cut yourself back really, really far. Don't try to give them $20 a week. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's just going to make things worse. And backlash at you. Maybe even like err on the side of a little bit more than you think for a little while. Yep. And then slowly work your way into doing more. Micro changes. Make micro changes, but stick with it. Yep. And make sure that your partner understands, especially if you have one that doesn't want to, that it's not set in stone. It is something that fluctuates and changes. And they have a say in it. Yes. Yep. And if they think that something's not working, they can come to you and say, hey, this amount of money for this thing is not cutting it. No. And you can always tell them, I understand. You can change it on paper and then do what you want behind closed doors. So just remember, a good lie gets you out of almost anything in this world. And I think that's it for our show. I think so. All right. Thank you very much. Now for the awkward moment where we get up, walk to the camera, and shut it off because of our low budget crap.